Hey
Hey
mamas,
mamas,
welcome back to another episode. I'm Jess.
I'm Erica.
Why are you smiling?
I could just see Jackie like smiling at us. I bet you now when she hears it, she's gonna be like, "Oh yes, I know what they look like now."
Mama's Code.
So guys, today we have Jackie with us. You may know her from a couple of weeks ago. We did her birthing story. She is an estate agent and a mummy to a gorgeous little boy who is now weaning. She was telling us all about it. How are you? She's on mute. It's finally someone else that mutes themselves like us.
I didn't do that. I didn't even touch it. Someone muted me. It wasn't me. But yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm just here at home. I managed to skip the bedtime routine. Dad's doing that today, so winning. Little change for once.
Does it not feel like a day off when you don't have to do the night, like the putting them to sleep?
Oh, he takes his time. Like, if it's a good night, it'll be like, because I put some like little lullaby stuff. If it's like song number 4 and it's done, he's asleep, it's a good night. But if it goes on past number 4, I'm like, oh, it's going to be a long one. So yeah, it does feel good when Dad does it. Just gives me a little break sometimes.
You say that, and like obviously we're at different stages of motherhood. And I remember with my first, I used to be like, "Oh yeah, it's so nice when you could just chill in the living room, watch TV, and just do things for yourself." But they grow up, and then they start picking who they want to put them to bed. And 10 out of like 20 times it's mum, mum, mum. And it's like, oh God, like I need to, like sometimes on most days when I'm recording, Caden's like, Jogilo mama. And I'm like, oh, really? Today? And obviously you feel shit because it's like, I don't want to make him cry. But it's like, sorry, you got to go with your dad today.
Oh, bless him. Oh, I wonder what it's going to be like when he starts talking. I can't imagine him like talking and all of that yet. But I feel like before you know it, he will be.
Non-stop. Just today we were reading bedtime and so Ollie was reading the story and Caden was just in my ear talking and I was like, Caden, I'm trying to listen to the story. Just shut
Oh my
up.
God. So, I went to drop off the mugs today. They were all playing outside and in the nursery. And obviously, Kay saw me and came up to me to show their paper aeroplanes. And then all the kids literally ran there and there was like 10 kids just screaming conversations at me. And I was like, bye. And one of them is like, this is my aeroplane and I'm 4 years old. And I was like, oh my God, you're 4 years old. And then this little girl, she's like, ¿Usted cómo se llama? I was like, oh, this is probably, I'm just going to go now. And the teachers were just there laughing. Like, I actually felt attacked by them. And they're just all little miniature humans.
I suppose they're so excited because they just haven't seen any civilians for like the longest time. So they're just trying to make conversation with anyone before they get locked up again.
We had you on the birthing stories. And for everyone listening, me and Erica behind the camera, we were literally, our jaws were on the floor to hear everything. And bear in mind, the birthing stories are very brief. We try to fit in as much as we can within 10-12 minutes. So once we finished recording, we were like, oh my God, you need to tell us literally the download, because and one thing that we picked up was that you were really like shocked at how the whole inducing thing was. So we thought we need to get you on. And obviously April is Cesarean awareness month, so we're like, you need to come and tell us everything.
You know when you obviously were pregnant with a Nino, did you read on induce in like the induction?
Yeah,
Does it say what it is they do?
No, like not to the extent. This is the problem. This is why I was so angry at life, because I had heard of the term and people just throw the term casually, like, oh, baby came early, I was induced, but they leave it there. But I wonder if they leave it there because it's so traumatic. I feel like, do people want to hear about it or whatever? And when I'd done the hypnobirthing course, there was a section on it. And obviously I thought that was really interesting. But even then, I feel like they're still sugarcoating that. They're like saying, oh, kind of really avoid it. You don't want to go down that route. It's not natural, whatever. But at the same time, they'll like do the whole, but if you do get induced, remember to take your candles, to take your room spray, to think positive. But they're leaving the nitty gritty of what's going on. So that's why I was probably taken by surprise. I mean, like, when I was telling the story, I was very excited when I was going to get induced. And then before I knew, I was like, what have I signed up to? So yeah, I did know, but not to the extent of, you know, everything that happened. And I'd seen my fair share of like birthing programs, and this is what I'm saying, they'll show the little minute where they sweep the lady and then that's it, and they're all so casual, but obviously they must surely heavily edit that. There were like other women crying in the room when they were getting it done, probably not as bad as I was. I don't know, but
I remember when I was overdue, they said, oh, you know, come in on Saturday to get induced, and we're just going to do a little sweep and enter the what's that called?
Pessary.
Yeah, and that's it. You can go home. Like, that was all they said to me. And I thought, oh, and in my head, I thought, oh, okay, they just, you know how when you put your tampon in and they just leave it there? Because that's what they said to me. And I thought, oh, okay, like, in my head, I was like, okay, I'll just get a sweep and this and that. But apparently, you get fisted.
Yeah. Did you end up getting that done in the end or no?
No, my appointment was for 1 p.m. on the Saturday, and at 9 a.m. I checked in.
Oh, you're so lucky. Yeah, that's how they explain it. I really don't know. The thing I'm thinking is that they make you sign all this paperwork when you're gonna go into like theatre and have your C-section. Like, I know you're gonna be under the knife, literally, but I genuinely, you know, like, okay, a bit of sidetrack, but I must have started this petition about letting your partners into the labour if during like quarantine, because obviously that wasn't allowed. That's one thing I wanted done. But initially, when I started off that petition, my driving force was I wanted women to start signing consent forms if they wanted to get induced, purely because of the lack of knowledge over then, how, as I said, like how brutal it was. So because you're asked to like give consent when you're going to go down to C-section, whatever, but I genuinely feel like a woman should proper know every single detail before going down that route, because it's just too painful. Like, it's just too much. And any person, and I know that it's not just my experience, because any person that I do speak to, or people that have said, oh, I was induced, was awful as well, no one's got anything positive to say about it. So that just goes to show the lack of knowledge and how much people need to like be in control of their own bodies, because that's a massive like invasion of privacy right there. Like, as I said, I felt violated. It was horrendous. It was the worst thing.
I was speaking to Jess earlier on as well, and I was saying with both boys, because they were both late, I always had the idea that, you know, oh, you get put on a drip to kind of like speed things up, and like Jess says, you know, you get a little tampon inside, but that's literally it, a little tampon. It's like, that's how it will feel. But then obviously hearing your story, and we've heard other people's that, you know, they say, you know, being induced is like the worst thing ever. So I'm thinking, hold on a minute, I kind of understand as to why they may not want to put too much out there, because obviously it's frightening, and going into birth is scary in itself. So then add in the pressure of, oh, well, you know, you're going to be fisted and this is going to happen and it's going to hurt from here to 1,000. I can understand in that sense, but I agree with you. There should be a consent form, because like you say, and so many women, you know, it just surpasses that. Where do we draw the line? Like, you nearly took your hand and took it out my mouth kind of thing.
Yeah. And it happens so many times. Like, it's because you're induced, they have to be like checking and stuff. So it's just that every so often, like going down there, like, yeah, like you're not in control of your body at that point. And again, you have to let them to check the baby and to check the progress. But honest, it's horrible. Like, the violation is just like real.
When your birth story came out, a couple people messaged us and they were like, oh my God, like, inducing was actually shocking. And they told us what their experience was. And we were honestly in shock, because you just don't know what you're expecting. And I think, like Erica was saying, do you think it's because they don't want to scare you? But then again, well, you know what the good and bad of giving birth is. So why would they not give you that power to be prepared for it? Because
not all women go through it, but I feel like for the women that do, there should be the knowledge out there. One of the comments that actually struck me was a girl, she'd said that when, and it was on the comment underneath the video, that when she got induced, she got so tense the midwife's hand got stuck.
Yeah.
Oh my God, poor girl. Like, when I read that, I was like, what? Oh my gosh, bless her. Could you imagine? That's how you know, I was like, shit, that's bad. This is what I'm saying. Like, your body doesn't even know what to do. They're like, what the hell is this? And then stuff like that happens. God knows how many other stories there are out there.
So what if we compare to before baby, when you were doing your hypnobirthing course and they told you about induction, do you think that there was more told there than what, you know, your antenatal classes will tell you, or what your midwife.
I think it was the same. I feel like there's only one sort of text out there that defines induction, and everyone just says the same thing, but they don't give out the details or the ins and outs of it, because it was pretty much the same. This is what I'm saying, that they sort of pass over it because it doesn't happen so often. They'll be like, oh, we'll cover this section in case it happens. And then, yeah, it's just the pursery, and then, or you'll go on the drip and that's it. Because some women who are induced don't even have the pursery. They go straight on the drip. Like, I've got a cousin of mine, and then this is another thing where I was naive when going into this. When I said I'll get induced, her birth was quick. First baby, 6 hours. She got there, she got put on the hormone, then baby arrived in 6 hours. And that was her first baby. So it was pretty fast. So that's what I thought. That's why I got excited. I thought, right, drip, then baby will come. And then when I told her, she's like, Jax, I didn't get none of that done. And I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, because I was like 4 centimeters dilated when I got there. So again, there's like a massive bit of information that we've missed, because it depends on where you are in active labor. It depends on if you're going to do that pursery bit or not, or if you're going to do the gel or not. So again, I didn't know that. I only found that out again because of speaking to her. And that's a conversation that me and her hadn't had, because I didn't even think I was going to get induced. So I think, had it been common knowledge that inductions can happen and they can go south, I think maybe I would have had that little bit more of extra knowledge somehow or whatever. But yeah, to answer your question, no, I just feel like it was all kind of blanket, and they're all kind of just saying the same brief description of it, and then that's about it, really.
Yeah, like I agree that maybe like just the same way that we're aware of before 4 centimeters, you are most likely to be sent home. Just like that knowledge, you kind of know like, oh, I think I need to hold on longer. You know, when you call the hospital and they tell you, nah, like we can hear that you're still not there yet. And like, you know, midwives can tell. Like I remember, so like it was yesterday, I was speaking to the midwife. She was like, no, you will know when you know that it's the time. Like, you won't be talking to me. That's how bad it's going to get. And I was like, sorry, what? No, I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, Camilo, no, abort this. let's not even. But say like what you said, you know, like there needs to be some kind of information, like, okay, you'll be put on the drip if you're X amount of centimeters dilated. And then if you're not dilating, this is the process that will take place. Because we had someone film her birthing story as well. And she had gestational diabetes. So she got taken into labor ward to be induced. And instead of like, you know, doing the normal let's check how much she's dilated. No, they fisted her straight away. And they were like, we don't need to put you on the little thingy because you're already dilating. Like, she was like, well, why didn't you check me before instead of fisting me? And it's just there, like, why? Like, what part of you didn't think, well, let's check to see if she's dilating. If not, then we'll do this procedure. So it's kind of like, you know, textbook thing where you follow kind of steps. But nah, they just go with, oh, you know, you've been induced, so bang, take it.
That's exactly how it is. It's just crazy. Like,
well, I didn't even know that you could be induced when you're already dilated until now. This is like new information to me.
yeah, because with her, what was going on with her? Yeah, she was already, she got put on a drip straight away because she wasn't passing a certain amount. So they called it, I think like an early induction or whatever. And they'd already planned with it anyway, because I think the baby was measuring small at the time. So they were going to induce her regardless. But obviously she got one step ahead because her waters actually went. And then they just put her on the drip to get those contractions.
And then they have to take it back out, right? Because you were saying that.
Yeah, they leave it there for a few hours. So I think they left it in there for like 4 or 6 hours. Then they take it out. That's when I said I wasn't going to have them take it out. I was like, no, if I can do it, I'm going to do it myself. So I did. And then that's when they check. They still have got to check to see if it's done what it's supposed to do. And then that's when they're like, no, it's still 2 centimeters. Give it a few more hours. Then they go with like the first dose of gel. They've got to go in to insert the gel or whatever. And then you got to wait, go for a walk, then come back to check. And then if that doesn't work, you do another one. So in total, it's like 3. And imagine like the examinations between them. It's vile. With all that technology, there surely should be like something else for you to be able to check stuff like that.
How long do you have to wait in between applications?
from memory, I think it was like 6 hours, I think. That's why it took so long. That's why I was there for so long. Because again, remember, I wanted a break from it all. So I wanted to sleep. Initially I wanted to go home. Do you know what I found shitty about the whole thing? When I started to think, shit, I've done the wrong thing here, I asked to speak to the midwife who was looking after me. They were all great. But as soon as I started saying, I'm not comfortable with this, I think I've changed my mind, they just kind of switched on me, you know? They were like, well, you're the one that asked to be induced. I was like, no, I didn't ask to be induced. The doctors told me that I had to because of my blood pressure. Well, blood pressure hasn't been elevated. Like they literally just completely changed tone with me to the point where one said, well, if you're allowed to walk out, although I doubt it, you're going to have to go to the back of the queue. And I'm like, back of the queue? What? And then I was so upset. I thought, I need to speak to your senior because I don't know what their problem was. It's like, I would have said like the worst thing ever. They're like, oh, because there's women waiting to have their babies. And I was like, but I didn't ask to be induced though. Her tone and the other one that was looking at completely changed after that. So that for me, I thought that was really like stressing me out anyway. So then I thought, no, forget this. So that's when they got their senior doctor. She said, look, I can see I really do want you to go home, but obviously I can't let you because of corona or whatever. So you've got to like stay in. But the best thing we can do is like move you wards and have a rest, have a good night's sleep and see if that helps. So I think that's what caused the slight delay because I was meant to get checked then as well. And I said, I'm not going to get checked. I don't want, like, it's too much. But imagine that night I started contracting. So it just goes to show, like, if you just let your body do its thing and without all this like invasion, like things will happen. Like I know like the contraction stopped, but I made a little progress that I hadn't done throughout like the whole 2 days that I was there or whatever.
No, and also you need to bear in mind that your body was under a lot of pressure and their tone doesn't help your case either because you obviously get stressed. Yeah. And you get stressed, the baby gets stressed. It's like, how am I meant to relax and let my body do what it's meant to do?
Yeah, I literally started crying because when they sent out the senior doctor, she saw me and I just burst out into tears. She's like, oh, were you upset? And I was like, upset is an understatement. Like, it's just like the care has been great, but right now, as soon as I said I'm not comfortable, like they're not even listening to me. They're just like following these instructions and treat me like an object. Like it's not fair. I want to go home. And she's like, and then she kind of like leveled with me. And I was like, what do you mean I need to join the back of the queue? Like, what is this? Like, it's like some conveyor belt thing that you're just popping out kids. Like, I was really shocked at that point because I thought it's all been a bit of a shambles and not having the support that I had. The only kind of immediate support I had access to, like, turn on me as well, was just a bit like, what the hell? But luckily, like, the night nurses were much better. So when they left in the day, I'd be like rude. The night nurses were like really lovely and stuff. But yeah, that's like the last thing you need. Like your nurses like just trying to treat you like a bit of a mug. Like just trying to be healthy out here.
Mama, I love you.
So for all our listeners that haven't heard your story, could you remind them why is it that you had to be induced?
So I had a really active baby. He was always active. And then one night I feel like he overmoved. Like he was just too active. And then the next day he didn't move at all. Like I'd have to like proper push my belly to even get like a little wiggle. So then I called the midwives and then, yeah, they just said, well, first of all, I started giggling to see if it was normal. They're like telling you that the worst thing ever. So I was like, let me just call to be safe. And then they said, you know, like it's not normal. So come in. So when I went in, they were like, baby's fine, but your blood pressure is really high. So we're going to like keep you for observation. After they'd done the observations, apparently the blood pressure wasn't dropping. And then, yeah, that's why they said, because you haven't had any blood pressure issues at all in your pregnancy. We think because you're near the end, it's the pregnancy causing your blood pressure issue. So if it happens during labor, it could be like terrible. So let's just like induce you. So that's basically where it was. And I was 38 weeks at the time. So I still had a good best part of like 10 to 12 days to go. But I still think like it was anxiety, you know. I don't even think it genuinely was blood pressure issues because I've never had issues with it at all. And like sometimes it was so like up and down. It wasn't like constant. Like if I was like really chilled out, it would be normal. That's why they kept monitoring because they couldn't really pinpoint why it was so like it kept fluctuating up and down. I genuinely think it's because I was just anxious because the whole thing, like I was just worried about him. I was obviously by then in the hospital. I knew what was going to come in terms of like my other half ain't going to be able to be with me as soon as I go past these doors. Like he was downstairs waiting for me with my bags ready to give them to me. Like it's just everything just added, like first time baby, like it's time, like excitement, scared, like everything. So I personally don't even think it was blood pressure issues, to be honest. I just think it was more like anxiety more than anything.
Yeah, and like you said, like they used the people that are meant to look after you, i.e. the midwives, use that against you because all of a sudden you were the one that wanted the induction. And when you stated, well, no, actually, it's my blood pressure, that's why I was admitted to hospital. Well, no, your blood pressure's been fine. So, okay, if my blood pressure's been fine, then why don't I just go home? And then, okay, you had someone level with you, you know, pandemic, let's kind of like calm down. When that senior midwife leveled with you, it was kind of like, okay, I understand. You know that you can't put your baby at risk in the matter that, you know, your blood pressure did go back up. And you even said it yourself in your birth story. You kind of thought, if I walk away and something was to happen, you wouldn't be able to live with yourself. So in that point, you knew, okay, I'm going to stay here, but you don't need the judgment. And especially, we've had so many people complain on midwives. And it's funny because it's like, you know, when you pick a job and you pick that career, you have to study so much to become a midwife. And yet you're going to sit there and treat people like shit. People that feel vulnerable. Yeah. You're in your most vulnerable. Yeah. Like it's mental the way you're trusting these people to bring something so pure into the world. And they're meant to, like, you know, through every surge kind of help you through it. And then you get this dumb attitude all of a sudden, like, because I'm telling you I feel uncomfortable. Where a hospital, you're meant to feel comfortable. That's meant to be the place, you know, you're bringing your, if that, then why don't we just go back to everyone having babies at home, your own comfort zone?
Yeah, I was literally shocked. Just the way that me just changed into the room. Like, even talking about it now, I'm still in shock as to how it was so nice when I was being, like, let's say, cooperative. And as soon as I thought, no, let me take control, it was like, oh no, like not under our roof. And it's just like, it's my body. Like, give me a break here.
You know, when obviously you had, was it sepsis?
Yeah.
Was that treated?
Yeah. So immediately when they realized what it was, they just started pumping me with antibiotics. As soon as that finished, I was literally on antibiotics from the moment that they flagged up that I had it all the way till like 10 days after I was at home, because they needed to make sure that it was just completely out of my system. So as soon as that one dribble finished, they'll like replace it with the other. When baby was born, they didn't give it to him because I'd basically been giving it to him through his bloodstream and stuff. But he was fine. He actually didn't even get it. It was just in my bloodstream. And you know what? That happens because of infection. And had I not been induced, I wouldn't have got that, because no matter how like sterile or clean these people are, it's different people like going down there. And when I was speaking to Jess about this last time, she made a really good point. She's like, I mean, look what happens when you get like a new soap, or like when you put soap down there, like you get like a rash or whatever, or your vag doesn't sync well with it. And you're telling me like different bloody people going up there constantly ain't going to cause anything, of course. So that just goes to show, like, again, why inductions you really should sign, because that is that risk. Like, I'm sure I probably haven't been the only one that's had that happen to. And I know for a fact, had I not been induced, I would not have had that, because it's cause of infection. Like, it's an infection, an internal infection. And that's what caused it. All the people going in, like the liquids and all of that stuff.
I remember a friend once said that giving birth was like being the buffet, that everyone just comes and puts their hands in and out. And after she had her baby, she went to the health visitor. And she was like about to take her pants off, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "Oh, I thought you were still gonna continue like checking me."
That's so funny. Oh, that's so funny, but sad at the same time, because you get into that mind frame where it's just like, right, a stranger's gonna go and look up there now. Like, no, there's something wrong with that.
That's why everyone says once you have a baby, you just lose any sort of shame. You just like, whatever. Do you want to take a peep?
No, that's just, yeah. I didn't go down that. You know, I did think of that when I got given my private room, and they were going to put me on the drip. Obviously, this, are they called the stilts, where you put your legs up?
Yeah.
I thought, shit, there's like 5 people in here at the moment. They're going to be done. I couldn't actually envision myself pushing in front of all these people and have everyone down there. Like, oh, hats off to you, man. Like, I can't even imagine like having all these people look down there and, oh God.
That's nothing. Imagine when women poo themselves and the midwife has to clean them, and then at the second, Jess sent me. I'll show you. I'll send it to you, Jackie. She sent me a picture, yeah, and you know, like all these birthing pictures. So the woman was on all fours, and the baby was coming out in the sack. So it looks incredible, but I don't know why my mind only focused on her anus and like there was like little bit of mbojito ahí. And I go to Jess, oh my God, she's got umbojo. And then afterwards it was like, oh, and the baby, yes, it's in the sack.
And the flash was so strong, you could literally see what she had for breakfast.
Yeah, and it looked a bit caldoso, like, you know, when you have a bit of time.
Erica, stop. That's disgusting. I just wanted to, you know, when you guys were talking about the midwife, and I really think we should get a midwife here, because I feel like everyone comes and tells their shit stories with their midwives, and there must be a reason. And I was just thinking, like, just now with the high blood pressure, obviously it can cause like strokes, it can cause like absolute like really life-threatening things in that moment. So as a midwife, you're in charge of this mother that's about to give birth. And I think that maybe, is it because, and yes, I know they're professional and that would be your argument, but in that moment, do you think they just get so thrown back and overwhelmed of, I could possibly lose this patient, or they've got someone above them saying like, you need to keep the mother calm, but you need to remain calm yourself, but in her head there's different things going through? And I know it shouldn't really be an excuse, because I mean, this is your job, but
yeah, I don't know, maybe like a trail of thought that I had at one point was maybe like they were just tired, they'd been, I don't know, maybe started work really early that day, and I was like the last straw, like, because I know they're looking after so many women and not everyone is like you. Like some women can be really you know, not over the top, but like everyone handles pain and the situations differently, innit? And maybe their expectations of what they wanted to deal with that day was different to what they had in mind. I don't know, but I feel like if you're going to pick a profession, you need to know what's going to come with it. So you need to just stay neutral and calm for everything. Not because you're having a shitty day, you're going to take it out on this lady who's been vulnerable. I think you've got to stay professional the whole time. I'm sorry, I personally don't make any excuses. No matter how shit of a day that you're having, like, you're in charge of life at the end of the day. Saying we're not doing it for fun. Like, it's not like, you know, that is, you're bringing life into the world.
yeah, it's like a firefighter won't go into a fire when he's tired or hangover, because this is your life at risk, and there shouldn't be excuses. And the thing is,
well, I didn't tell you to have that cigarette and didn't know, like, you have to like stay level the whole time. So yeah, I don't make any
and the thing
excuses.
is, we shouldn't even be feeling sorry about, oh, their long night shifts, because that's the job you chose, you know? Like, you're the one giving me the service that I require at my most vulnerable state, and there's two lives on the table here, mine and the baby's. Not,
it kind of just shows, you know, like in sales where you say like the customer's always right. Right now we're the customers and you're treating me like shit. And then when, so, because I guarantee you there are millions of complaints towards midwives, because it's like Jackie says, there is no excuse for how you talk. Like, even like, I don't know if you guys had it, but the receptionists at the hospitals, when you go into the ward, they are the worst. They think they literally are like NHS head staff.
GP receptionists are the worst.
Always grumpy, and it's like, wow, you're taking your job too seriously, love. Like, please don't. And like, I had so, like, when I went in once, she was like, nah, you need to go back. And I'm like, but you haven't even checked me. She was like, oh, I'm not a doctor. And I'm like, then shut up then. It's that simple. You don't know what I'm feeling, so don't get involved. And then the nurse came, the midwife came, and when she checked me, she was like, oh yeah, you're 8 centimeters. And I'm like, yeah, and your receptionist was going to send me home because apparently I was talking. So it's like you said, everyone deals with pain differently. This was my second child. I knew what I was expecting. I knew the pain and I knew how much I could tolerate. You can't tell me, oh no, well, we don't have any rooms. So what about the room that I got put in? And then she was very rude to my mum as well. And my mum was just sitting there like worried, as any mother would be. And she was like, no, you need to get out of here. Like, too rude, too rude. Like, honestly. And I think, just like you'd assume, like, say like in Great Ormond Street Hospital, you wouldn't expect those nurses and doctors who go day in and day out with these sick kids that they can throw up on you. You know, so many things can happen. They don't go in and they treat the little kid like shit. I can't think of a doctor doing that. So I don't understand why they treat this any different. We are in our most vulnerable state. We are in pain. So they shouldn't have any excuse to talk down on us or make. And like you said, Jax, if you felt uncomfortable, they should have reassured you. They should have gone down to your level and said, you know, I understand you. There's always a way to use your words with a person to try and relax them, not make them go, well, no, this is going to be your fault then. It's like, well, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, 100%. I literally couldn't agree with you more. But it's just one of them ones, you live and you learn. And I think maybe later on, it's just educating yourself, isn't it, as well? Like my experience will definitely, or if I am lucky enough to, or if I do want to go down that road again and bring a second baby, I'll know perhaps maybe what to expect next time. But I think it's important to like talk about it just so everyone knows that these things can happen and perhaps not be so taken back if it does happen to you. And just always remember to speak to a senior. That's what I done, because I thought I'm not going to have you. There must be someone above you. So I'm going to make sure you get told and put in your place, because you can't be talking like this like, to everyone else, because you don't know how someone's going to like handle being spoken to like that. I mean, I'm quite, I don't mind using my words. I'll tell you how it is. If I don't like something, I'm put you in your place. And I find your superior, I'm going to make them tell you off. But like someone might not have the vocal ability to do so. Like they might just feel intimidated and might feel pressured and cause other issues. Like we're in such a like delicate climate, like you just don't know. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what midwife says.
Yeah, definitely. We need someone on the hot seat. We just throw out all the questions. I think it's also really important to know your rights when you're giving birth, because I think a lot of women go in and think, you know, whatever the doctors say, go. But the more, like you were saying, the more educated and the more you're aware about the rights, and, you know, you can't check me if I don't want you to check me and intervene so much. Because it's true, if the first time mum goes in and she doesn't know this and then finds out, you know, at the other side, just by knowing this, it could have made her experience so much better.
Mama's Code.
How did you feel in that moment when they said to you, okay, we need to get you into surgery?
I feel like because I'd already planted that seed at the beginning where I knew that induction was going to fail, because I wanted it from the get-go, because I knew he wasn't going to come. I think I kind of mentally slightly prepared myself for it in a way. So it wasn't like something like, oh my God, I'm shit scared. Like I was actually really calm. I was in a way actually relieved, because I thought, right, I know that already they've turned a page, because although it was shit, they waited for things to go south for them to really bring up the best care. Like I can honestly say, the care was second to none. As soon as they thought, shit, we've got an issue on our hands, I felt in perfectly safe hands. Like it was incredible. Like I had two midwives with me, completely different. They literally take turns to go to the toilet or go and get water. There was someone with me all the time, constantly checking. So anyway, when they got to the C-section part, I felt that, you know, comfortable, and I had peace of mind that, okay, like even though it's all been shit, I'm in really good hands now. You can tell they were like, the big dogs knew what they were talking about. They knew what they were doing. So I felt, yeah, you know, a sense of relief that it was finally going to happen. Obviously a little bit nervous because, again, I'm about to get cut up open, and that's all scary, like unknown territory. Obviously, we all know it didn't. That's me being like always trying to be positive. It didn't go as straightforward as it was. But yeah, initially, as soon as they said we're going to do it, I felt good. I thought, right, finally, we're going to do it. I'm going to end all this jazz. But then obviously one door closes and the other does, or one chapter ends and the other starts, because then the next part of the shenanigans happen. And then the other part, like recovery, happens. Again, like when they're saying to you, right, let's get baby out, you get fixated on, right, baby's coming. You don't even think about what's going to happen after, because I'm agreeing to this like C-section, obviously, to get him in. But again, nothing could have prepared me for like the next part, which was recovery and what happens after. That shit is just pretty crazy as well, because you're just...
Before we go there, you know, when they were about to slice you, in a split second, did you think, oh my God, like there's going to be a massive scar across? Because I know they do them really small now, but did that even cross your head at that point?
No, it hadn't. And it was actually the only person that made me realize that was the one of the surgeons. She came in to like make me sign the consent form. She was like, I know C-section isn't ideal. And I thought, yeah, I know. And I'm thinking because of everything that's gone on. And the first thing she goes, you can wear a bikini again, don't worry. I was like, I hadn't even thought about that. But okay, cool. But no, until she said that, and then I thought, shit, my mind is somewhere completely like elsewhere. Because normally, like, you're a woman, you're quite vain. You think, oh shit, I don't want to have this scar. Honest to God, it did not even cross my mind. You know, like, I think that mother instinct kicks in where you don't give a shit what happens to you, what you look after. You just want your baby to be safe and you want to be okay. So no, I didn't even think about it. But when obviously after it's all done and dusted, then you're looking like, shit, I hope you like minimize, because I can't deal with that scar. Yeah. But to answer your question, in that moment, no. But later on, it did come into my mind.
I asked because we saw a birth story like years ago, or probably like 2 years ago, and they were prepping her up, and all she was saying to the doctor was, please make it a small scar, make it a small scar. And in my head, I was like I remember, like, it's like with stretch marks, like the whole of my pregnancy, I got 2 stretch marks. The week before my baby came, my stretch marks were literally like up to my neck, red, like 4D. You can see them through my clothes. And I was like, oh my God, like, I thought I'd got away with it. So obviously, if you compare it to going into C-section and that's all she was screaming, I thought, oh, maybe that was going through your hair.
Yeah, no, honestly, it didn't. But it's funny you say that, because with the whole stretch mark situation, I thought I was a ninja. Like, I was creaming, oiling 4 times a day. My belly was smooth. I was like, yes, no one stretch my arm. I'm so happy. Towards the end, I got like 2 tiny, really faint ones. Girls, as soon as baby was born, like 2 days later, I looked like a tiger had scratched at my thighs. I was like, what? What happened here? Like, they just came out of nowhere. But again, I didn't even think to like look into do they come after. But yeah, apparently, like, if you don't get them during, you're not at the woods. After the baby comes, that's when I got them. So, but I don't mind, you know, like, I was always like, I was so paranoid about it during pregnancy. And I never thought I'd say this. I'd be one of them girls like, oh, embrace your stretch marks, all that. But with what I went through, I'm like, I feel so lucky to be here. I can have stretch marks for days. I really don't care. Like, it is what it is, isn't it? Like, they birth the baby. Do you know what? And I learned to have like a massive respect for my body as well. Like, it's honestly incredible. From that first moment where you've got this little heartbeat in your body starts going through these crazy changes, and it's incredible. Even after the baby comes out, you can see your body changing, like, in front of your eyes. Like, it's mad. I've got a new level of respect for my body, honestly. Like, it's obviously far from perfect, but I only have one skin and one body, and it literally done little eyelashes, little bones, little heartbeat, and I look at my baby and I'm like, it done all of that. Like, it's crazy.
I'm tearing up.
Oh, stop it. You know. What's wrong with me?
Jackie's like, you not cry for everything, for fuck's sakes. No, do you know what? It's so beautiful that you say that, and I really respect it, because it's not easy. It doesn't come easy for people, and everything you've just said is absolutely, like, it's true. It's like, why should that matter to me? And again, vanity and the fact that your whole life changes, your body changes, but you're only 7-8 months in, and like, I'm sure you maybe have had that one day that you thought, oh, this scar, like, you know, but it's really beautiful to hear you say that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. No, I'm not there. Like,
I wish I thought the same.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the scar's there. Like, as I said, it's far from perfect, but yeah, like, it's your own, isn't it? Like, that's a little reminder of what happened. But
Well, I mean, let's look at the bright side. At least it's not, you know, the vertical one that they used to do before. My mom has 2 of those. And like, claro, like, with every birth, it just becomes thicker because they can't really cut. And she says that with her, you know, el cierre, like the zip of the trousers, it still hurts her. That's wild.
Did they cut her through the same one?
So I think, you know, because in Colombia, they like very butch and they just do shit. How I think the surgeon just goes in with his eyes closed and just kind of like,
el machetazo.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
They literally just like waka, like, they don't give a shit.
Yeah, like I was telling Jess the other day that we have una conocida that she went to have her baby, and obviously she wasn't dilating, so they were like, I don't think you have the capacity to give birth, so we're gonna have to give you a C-section. This was in Colombia. So they cut her, they put the pinzas on her, and then when she got discharged, se le abrió la herida. Then she got taken back to the hospital. They, like, with the thingy, they put it back and then it opened again. So, and then now she has a second baby and she had to get another C-section, but she was, you know, one of those things that traumatize you for life. Like obviously her daughter was like, I think 19 when she had her new baby, but it was still in her mind like, oh my God, I don't want to go through this. And she says they cut her below her, but because in Colombia, I think they cut you more like, they don't really care if you can wear a bikini or not. What they said to her was like, even when she was like going through pains, that the midwives would say to her, pa que se queja, you opened your legs and you got yourself in this situation. And it's like, you know, sometimes we talk about the midwives here, and I was like, wow, imagine in Colombia. I'd have to beat one of them up. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, 100%. No, my mom tells me about them stories as well. She goes, aquí lo tratan bien a uno, mija en Colombia, huh? And I was like, what? Like, she tells me stories about her sisters when they give birth. I was like, no, I couldn't. I literally couldn't. And just the other day we were talking about, she actually told me that in Colombia, obviously they used to, if you wanted a C-section like what we get here, standard, like a small bikini, that they make you pay extra to have because it's like borderline cosmetic. And I'm like, ain't nothing cosmetic about having 7 layers of skin to take our human out. No, we're quite lucky in that sense that we're not dealing with them Colombian midwives, boy.
Mate, imagine being told, don't moan, you got yourself in this. Oh my God, I'd be like, really? I haven't had a C-section and Jess hasn't either. But when you described what it felt like when they went in for your baby, every time I go in my bag, I'm like, oh my God, this is what it feels like.
I thought you were going to say, I'm inside Jackie right now.
Because I'm looking for your keys.
That description is so on point, because I can just imagine it, like, you know, the doctor going in. Also, do they take your organs out?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. No.
I always had that vision that they just kind of like take everything out and kind of like look for the baby and then.
No, your baby moves it out of the way.
Is it?
Yeah, like when your baby grows, it starts pushing the organs like outwards. So obviously so your baby's on top. So when the baby comes out, all the organs move back to where they're supposed to be.
But I've seen a C-section where, like, I think it's the intestine, it's been removed. Like, it's out, and then, I don't know, I could be making this up.
Jackie's like, Jason, did they take out my intestines?
I've seen loads of C-section videos, and no, definitely never seen an intestine hanging out. Are you sure it wasn't like the kid's leg?
Maybe. Or maybe because there was a lot of blood, I just assumed it was the intestines out there.
So once they've taken your baby to get him sorted with, you know, and you're left there being stitched up again, were they telling you anything? Were they talking you through, or how was that procedure?
No, they weren't. Not in that moment, because at that point they were like, half the doctors were then with the baby, like making sure whatever was all right. And then the only lady talking to me was obviously, because that's when I started feeling funny and I took my funny turn, and it was more her giving me reassurance that I was going to be all right, and then they were pumping in whatever they were doing. But no, they never at one point said like, we're stitching this up or nothing like that. But it just felt like it was forever. It took so long. I just wanted to be out of there. But I suppose they've got like so much stuff. But it's so weird, yeah, because I did feel like the last thing I felt was, it felt like they were putting stitches, the clamping, like, you know, when you staple paper, it felt like that. And that was when I kind of knew, all right, they're nearly done. Because I said, are they nearly done? She goes, yeah, almost. And I thought, all right, cool, bloody hell.
Do they put the clamps?
I think underneath they do. And then the last layer, so the actual skin, they put like they put like dissolvable stitches. And then for me, they put like some skin textured, what do you call that in English? Well,
Plaster.
Kind of a plaster, yeah. But it was like rubber. It was really weird. So that the next day when I had a shower, I didn't want to even look down there. I was petrified. I thought, oh my God, I imagined like seeing all these staples and shit. But no, it was like covered with this like skin textured thing. And then the day 3 after baby was born, I had to go to the midwife, to the health visitor, to have it taken off, because you have to get it taken off. Like, I was dreading it. I said, you know how much I've been through? I said, and I've still got to have more pain. And she's like, don't worry, like, it'll be fine. I thought, everyone's telling me it's going to be fine. Of course it's not going to be fine. She goes, no, I promise, it's going to feel like a wax. You really think I want to feel like I'm getting waxed on my bloody gash. Like,
And
she goes,
to know
yeah,
that your stomach is open.
yeah, like it's a fresh wound. And then, yeah, she laid me on the table and then I was sweating. You know, like when you get scared and you start sweating from
I'm sweating now.
She said, you know the phrase, rip off the Band-Aid, I'm going to have to. I was like, oh, go on then. And yeah, off she went. And then, but it was over in one go. And it really did feel like a wax. There was even like a few pubes stuck to it and a few stitches.
Free wax for Jax.
It really was. But then after that, yeah, it just looked like really thin, like little conceal, like a little sewing thing. And then eventually it looked like scabs, like tiny little scabs, and it just went away, like the stitches.
How did it feel when all the anesthesia was out of your body? Like, how did you feel? Because obviously you've got like a fresh cut, and then your body in itself feels kind of like battered.
This is another thing, yeah, that I think in terms of like C-sections, we need to get talking about more, because you're on so much medication because of the pain. Like as soon as I come out of surgery, like baby was like 40 minutes old and they gave me morphine because of the pain. They're like, you're going to need morphine. Morphine and me did not get along. I thought that my heart was going to jump out my chest. Like it was so like pumping so fast. I felt weird. Like I felt like I was spaced out. So they was like, all right, we'll give you codeine instead. And then when it was like nighttime and me and Bobs were like trying to sleep or whatever, I woke up and again, like, my heart was elevated. I just felt delirious. Like it was really weird. Like I felt like high. It was horrible. And I called the buzzer because I got really panicked and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I feel like I'm taking a funny turn again.
Have we lost her? Come back,
Jax, come back. I think she's still talking and she genuinely thinks that we can hear her.
Yeah.
She's gone again.
My stomach is really hurting.
Yeah, like imagine, and like you know, it brings me back to Liana when she says like having to get up to feed your baby, and like she's got like, oh no, I couldn't.
And with that thing in your head that you're open there, like that you've just got stitches.
What if you do like a mal movimiento and
you stretch and then
it just opens?
I feel like I just got a C-section in this episode.
Yeah. No, you know what it is for me? Like you're laying down and then you hear your baby cry and then you're gonna get up. Like just that up movement, it kind of forces the little bit allá abajo, no?
Or to stretch to put your clothes on. Oh no, I can't. Jackie, I don't know how you did it.
We don't know how you did this. You know when you got up, so because obviously was Jason allowed to stay with you? No,
I was on my own. Like we had no hospital visitors. He just came to pick us up like 2 days later, I think 2 or 3. Yeah, 2 days later. I had to literally, every time baby will cry.
Did you have to ask them to pass you the baby?
Yeah, I had to press the buzzer like every time that he cried, and because I try and wheel him back, like, but he needed to like lift him. And I was like, yeah, can you pass my baby, please? Because I can't reach. They're like, yeah, sure, I'll do it the first couple of times. But next time you have to do it because you actually have to walk. Because if you walk, the recovery will be quicker. I don't know how that works. But, oh my gosh, it's just so much went on like after baby was born with this whole C-section thing. First of all, one thing I'd always dreaded was like a catheter. Do you know what that is? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right, a catheter. So you know, like from where they put the epidural. I made a right mess of it.
It's like Jax is there. No, she's not. She's there.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. So they left like a pee bag for me to pee, and then that's the first thing they done. So like they were like, when you sleep, the next morning we've got to take the pee bag out. The pee bag goes actually up your pee hole. Like, so they had to take that out. And again, I was like, I don't want to do this. Can I have gas in air? And they were like, look, it's going to be more effort me going to get this gas in air to take out this thing. Just breathe till 5 and then I'll take it out. That was the first step. So literally,
do you know how tiny your pee hole is? It's like a needle pin.
You know what? Yeah, it actually wasn't that bad. Like I could live with that. Like honestly, I thought it was going to be a lot worse. And that's what I was dreading the most. So they've done that.
And then they were like, okay, now you have to walk from here to there. Bearing in mind, this is like the following morning. You have to walk to the end of the corridor. Why do I have to walk? You have to walk, and you're walking like this. Like, you can't.
Is the tube not moving in and out your pee hole?
No. After they've taken out the bag, so they take it out. Yeah. So then you can move now, but you're like hunched back, because imagine like someone's just slashed your belly. You can't stand up straight because you feel that tug. Like, even like no matter how much morphine codeine they gave me, you still know you've got like a bloody gash down there. So you're taking baby steps, but you're then dealing with like, because your uterus starts contracting, obviously, isn't it? I called the midwife. I was like, I'm having contractions. Like, what's going on? I'm having contractions. I thought I gave birth already. And then she was like, oh no, it's your uterus shrinking. That's normal. So I'm like, well, like, seriously, like, does it ever fucking stop? Because like, it's one thing after another. I didn't even know that happened, that you get contractions after you have birth. And I thought, because I had a C-section, I wouldn't deal with that.
It's worse as you have more kids.
Me being like, I'm so dumb sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, what if I had another baby and they didn't know it was there and I've got birth another baby? Like, it was really painful. And I think the worst thing was I had this mad bellyache like a few hours after, but it wasn't contraction pain anymore. It was like, I can't describe it. I called the midwife again. I said, something's not right. My belly hurts so bad. And then she said, have you been to the toilet? I said, no. She said, you need to fart.
Stop.
What? I need to fart. She goes, you've got trapped wind. You're describing, you have to fart. Your belly's been open. You've got trapped wind. I promise you. Go and leave me the baby. Go and have beans and fart. You need to fart. I said, I can't do any sort of like pressure near that region. Like, I've got like this cut. She goes, you have to fart. I promise you'll feel better. So yeah, off I went to the little like, we were taking like tiny little steps.
I thought you were going to say, off I went to fart.
No, I did. I had to. And I had my beans. Even though I didn't want to eat, I had my beans. And then, yeah, I went to the toilet and I let one off. And I swear, that was so much better. Like, I thought, all of this for a fucking fart. Like, bloody hell. But yeah, it was just a fart. But that was painful, you know. So anyone who has a C-section, and that's a warning, you're going to have to fart at some point because you're going to get trapped wind. So that's like the funny side to it.
I would probably have thought that they've left like tissue in there or
oh God, could you imagine? No, definitely not.
That will probably happen in Colombia.
Probably. But yeah, back to answering your question about how I felt. Obviously you're feeling with the pain, but the whole like emotional side, so obviously you're dealing with hormones that, as I read after, that your hormones fluctuate, which is why some women get baby blues, which is normal, and you're dealing with all of this. But I think because of the medication, I've not felt anxious like that in like the longest time. I just felt, even when I got home, I remember I woke Jason up like in the middle of the night, and I was like, I must have said something, I feel like I'm dying or something, because you feel so spaced out. You feel like your body's leaving your soul's leaving your body. It's weird, but it's because of so much medication that they give you when you come home. And I noticed that when I stopped taking the codeine and I swapped the codeine just for paracetamol, so I was taking that like every 2 hours non-stop, because I said to the doctor, I said, I can't take these tablets, they're too strong for me. Like, they're making me like go crazy. So they said, all right, fine. So you just have to keep topped up on paracetamol. And that I immediately could tell that made all the difference. I just felt so much in control of my body, because that morphine and all that shit is just mad. Like it worked for me anyway. I think when I've got a mate who was asking, she was pregnant, she's had a baby girl now, bless her, and she was really like scared and everything. I gave her like my top tips, and I just wanted her to understand so much about what happens after the C-section recovery, because she was like, oh, you know, I'm too scared of giving birth, I think I might opt for the C-section. And I was like, look, sometimes it's not actually the easiest option, because the way I see it, obviously, like when you give birth naturally, it's a battle in itself. But I'd like to think, or from what I can gather, is yeah, you're dealing with like some hormonal bits after and your baby blues or whatever. But I think like the whole C-section thing is just so much more prolonged, because you can't immediately carry your baby like a normal birthing mother would. You need the assistance. You've got all this medication you've got to take and all of that. It's so much more draining. So I just hope, like, if I do have another kid, I hope I don't have to go down that route again, man, because it's just a lot. It's just long. You got your wax 3 days after as well. It's a lot.
How long did it take for you to feel like proper good again? Like, well, not proper, but like in yourself, like you felt like, okay,
like 2 weeks later, maybe. Definitely 2 weeks later, because I just kept crying. I couldn't talk about my birthing story because we were out crying, because obviously I was dealing with all that. But obviously I genuinely think it was a medication. I couldn't wait to get off it, even like the paracetamol and stuff, and obviously the pain. And you know what, the baby, he's a bit of a reflux baby, so he kept like vomiting and stuff. And immediately, I don't know if every parent goes through this, but naturally when your baby comes home, I was just checking that he was breathing every single time he was asleep. So even like I could be asleep, I'll wake up and I look at him, like make sure that he's alive still, make sure he's breathing. But a few times he'd vomit in his sleep, and just natural instinct. Obviously, I had the incision, and one night I heard him, like, it sounded to me like he was choking a bit. So I jumped out of that bed. And this was like day 2, actually. And the same way I jumped out of bed, I laid, like, it floored me, because the bloody pain, I felt like from inside my stomach, like it stretched, like it was so painful. And I was like whacking Jason, I was like, go and get the baby, but he was fine. But that shit hurt, like, oh my God. I've done that like 2 or 3 times.
So how long did it roughly take for your wound to heal?
Heal. I took like 4 weeks, because even like by week 2, by week 3, I was like walking a little bit, but it still felt quite sore. Like, it's weird to explain it. Like, inside, it's weird. Like, you can't even walk really straight. Like, I was walking like, Jason was walking barefoot with a pram, and I'd be like, you're walking too fast. Like, I'm walking at normal speed. You're just walking like a turtle. Because you just can't walk. It's too painful. Like, it hurts. So yeah, I think Philly, I mean, we went on like a nice little beach getaway, like by week 6. So by week 4, I think I was good to, like, we went and like walk around the river, and it was fine.
How does it feel now? Because I remember you mentioned that it still feels a bit weird to touch.
I can't. I just touched it. I'm like, it just feels weird. I can't explain it. It's like dead skin. It's like you feel a sensation, but you can't feel your,
like when you have pins and needles that you can feel your foot, but you can't.
Yeah, a little bit. Yes, very spot on, but not as extreme. But definitely that aura. That yeah. Very good example. Yeah.
I think it's because hearing your story, I feel like I've had one now. So I know I'm connected to you right now. I'm like, yeah, this is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Did you sneeze in that time? Because I would be petrified.
No, I didn't. But I think day 3, something happened. I don't know. I think I must have said something really dumb. Like, when I laugh, I get like proper laugh attacks. Like, I cry of laughter. So me and Jason are literally like in hysterics, and I'm holding myself, I'm dying of laughter, like literally, and it was the most painful laughter I've had. Like, so it was the equivalent, but that shit was like, oh my God, this laugh ain't even like worth the pain. I was literally holding my stomach, just like, stop making me laugh. I can't remember what it was, but
stop making me laugh because my intestines are gonna fall out.
I genuinely thought that's what was gonna happen. I thought it was gonna like rip open.
You know, with the C-section, do they also take out your placenta? Did you see it?
I didn't see it, but I'd like to think that they honoured my wish of doing delayed cord clamping, because I wanted to do that, because I'd looked into that as well, because I really wanted a water birth, and I wanted to do all the delayed cord clamping. But luckily, like on the hypnobirthing thing, they'd said that if you do have a C-section, they are actually still able to do it, even for like a couple of minutes. I think they must have got like 2 minutes, I want to say. I think I saw somewhere written, or someone said like 2 minutes. I don't even know if that's good or not, but at least I kind of done that. But no, I actually did want to see it, but no, they didn't even give me the option. I think everything was just so like crazy in there. There wasn't even the option to be like, do you want to see? Or I don't even know what they've done with it. They must have just disposed it or whatever.
Mama, I love you.
You lot literally made me recite every single detail of that bloody traumatic day.
To end the episode, we usually like to end it on a positive note. So, you know, you said so many things throughout, you know, educate yourself. What would you like to tell maybe women that are going through pregnancy?
I think just take every single day as it comes. Just take every day. Every day, no matter how routineful you might be, go for a phase where it's routine. Just take every single day, because I think some people wish their pregnancy away too quick, and they're like, I wish I was this month, I wish I was that month. But just embrace every single second. And even after the baby comes, just take every day and remember that you're not going to feel like that forever. Because there was a moment when the baby came and I was so in love and stuff, but I was so overwhelmed with everything. I thought, and I think it was sleep deprivation as well. I thought, right, is this the rest of my life? But I read somewhere like you're not going to feel like that forever, and it's so true. So just take every single day as it comes is, I think, what I'd like to say to girls, women, goddesses bringing life into the world, going through the valley of death to bring life into the world. Take every single day as it comes.
This too shall pass. It's nice that you say that, because I think you expect to have your baby and you think, oh, just because I've been home and I've done the hard labor, I'm fine.
Yeah, definitely. But do you know what I found myself thinking quite a lot, which is quite strange? I kind of, you know how like the health visitors, they probably like check up on you all the time and they're like asking you all these questions, and at the back of my head, and I was just like, oh my God, do I sound all right? Like, I don't want them to think I'm like depressed or anything, because I'm not. It's like you put pressure on yourself to, like, you're happy, but you're really mindful that you don't want to like seem that if you're crying, oh, she's depressed or whatever. There's just so much to think about. So that's why I thought as well. I thought if I just take just baby steps every single day, you will gradually feel like yourself again. Because every day, regardless if it's a bit routine, for every day really is different. So yeah, it's just a journey, and it's all part of the process, I suppose.
You know, when you say that, I remember when I had Caden, there, like, obviously now juggling 2 kids, it was quite intense for me. And obviously when the health visitor came, there was one particular question that she was like, do you find yourself crying for nothing? And I was like, in my mind, I was like, yeah, I do. But I was like, no, I'm fine, because I automatically thought, I kind of like set myself up for failure, because I thought, if I tell this woman that I cry myself to sleep, that, you know, I'm constantly fighting with my 3-year-old because he keeps waking his baby brother up, but then my mum guilt comes in because I'm like, he's still a baby, why am I screaming at him? But then I thought, if I was to literally blurt out everything that's in my mind, this woman will literally come and take my kids and just take them away, because she'll be like, nah, you are insane, you cannot deal with them. And it's almost what loads of women go through, because it's the pressure we have to be perfect, when in reality, women should always like reach out, you know, always speak your truth. Just because you're going through depression, it doesn't make you less of a mother.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. And it's just like, it's such a life-changing event. Like, it's so eventful. Like, it's these things are bound to happen. And I just think it's important for you to have the right support system, you know, and it's important to talk about it, because some women unfortunately don't have the support system, or, you know, they do and they don't want to talk because to not be judged or whatever. But I think it's important to be vocal about how you feel, because it's a lot. You can't handle that by yourself. Like, you can be a superwoman, but you need to speak out.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for sharing the rest of your story with us.
Thank you, girls, for having me and for making me laugh and for making me go down memory lane and for giving me the platform to really talk about it and raise awareness and give me closure, actually.
That's good. Therapeutic.
Yeah, I did, actually.
And it's good to always hear it firsthand in the ins and outs for anyone else that's expecting a baby or have felt like their experience was just ruined because of it. Mama's Code out. Mwah.
Mama's Code.